Everyone good? Start it up. Alright, so this is just a review of the drag blues class that we just did. The first thing that we worked on is different forms of connection. So starting out, open connection, 1 point of connection right here. Closed, which has 4 points of connection, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then close embrace, which is basically a continuous form of connection that's up here, separates right here near the hips and pelvic area, and then works again down where thighs are. So the easiest way to get into this is basically hug, really good hug, and then slide these hands down. The other way we worked on getting into this was breathe in, and then settle into it, breathe out. So this is kind of our drag blues position. So then what we worked on is we worked on moving forwards and backwards, which is basically pushing up and sliding, making sure you're not worried about whether or not your partner is there. So it's forward, 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 back, 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 forward, 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 back, 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 back. So from there what we did was we moved on to what we are calling the whoosh, which was, and really what this is all about is concentrating on keeping your feet really small and really close together and trying to have your center rotation going, your extra rotation going straight through you guys. The closer you're in and the smaller your footwork is, okay. So if you start out big, 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 bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, bring it in. Whoosh. The exercise we did with that was going back 4, whoosh, going forward 4. So it was back, 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 whoosh, 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 back, 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 whoosh, 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 whoosh. That was lesson 1. Lesson 2, we worked on hip catches out of the whoosh. So we started out 1, 2, 3, here. Just kind of get this planting in and opening up, planting on your right, opening up. And from there, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we really concentrated on is letting this motion settle and building up a lot of rotation here. Because now it's like shooting along a corkscrew that's about to go back the other way. Then from here, we essentially worked on just stepping straight back and catching, letting her settle in. And what we really concentrated on was as you're stepping back, all you're stepping back from is you're stepping back with your body and letting your hand just go where your body goes. So you were doing this as opposed to doing this. Because if you did that, a lot of you notice your partner went over there. We didn't want that. So once we are here at the hip catch, we work on moving back into normal walks. Walk, 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 walk. And the important thing about that was to keep the same height as when your follow is spinning and to keep the same similar small footworks. So as your follow is spinning, she's stepping really close together, so when you catch her, you do the same thing. And that will stop her from basically stopping. She'll keep going. The next is lunge. And the difference with that was that you go really low down, and that's going to be a really big change from how she was stepping beforehand, and it's going to stop her. So it's here. Bam, 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 lunge. And when we talked about there were 2 cues for your follow. One is the hand that's wrapping around her as she's spinning. The other is this high 5 essentially, to step into it. From there, once we're here, we work into making it a more dynamic lunge by isolating this part of our body and shifting it back, giving her a better reach. So again, we concentrate that this wasn't about basically pushing from up high. This was about pulling in from this part. What you never want to do is you never want to try to go from here, pushing it back with this arm. It's always going to be like this part should move forward or move backward that way, and that's what's going to cause it. So looking at it all together from here. That was our dip. Then the other 2 things that we did from the hip catch was going back into normal spins. This is going around, catching. This is Shannon's.
Shannon spin.
This is the Shannon spin. So we concentrate again, sending our follow in a line, and again off that line, and spinning. The normal one we did was from here, getting focused on there, guys, was that your first step is always going to be straight back. You always want to step straight back and then concentrate about where you're going next. And you want to make that next step really decisive because your follow is going to watch where you're going with her eyes. So if you just kind of start meandering off to the side slowly each time, she's just going to keep following you. You just want to make it one quick one, and she basically doesn't have a chance to do it, then you can catch her. And what we finish up with is level changes. And the idea of level changes is that if you start out low, then going normal is your level change. So our little exercise was down, down, up, up, down, down, up, set up, down, down, up, set up, down, down, up, set up. And that can be moved to pretty much everything. Like you can just be moving back, 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 up, up. You can be spinning back, back, up, 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 down, up, up. And as you'll notice, for everything that we've done here, what we really focused on was keeping our shoulders squared off. Not necessarily parallel, because this is still parallel shoulders right here. But it's not squared off. You want to be fully square, because that's where drag gets a lot of its feeling. Is that you're nice and straight, squared off. And that's what we learned.